What did you do sexually with your first partner that you only realized wasn't normal when you got into a new relationship? Not me, but a friend. He heard that while getting a blowjob, if you put ice in your mouth it provided an extra sensation. So he did it, but he put the ice in his own mouth. Then asked us all what it was supposed to do for him. Still dog him about it to this day. After a complete, exhausting fuck, we actually came together. We both had to pee. She let me go first, in the bathroom, not some golden shower thing on the bed, and her gaze was fixed on my dick. What? I never seen a guy pee, and this close. Wanna hold it as I go? Really? I can hold your pee-pee? She grabs it and ow, whoa there, gently. She starts aiming it, and her pupils are size of dimes. She's laughing. I wish I had a penis like this. This is cool. So every time we hooked up, and we're done, she'd ask, you gotta pee, right? Can I hold it for you? No other partner after that did that or wanted to be bothered. Throat fucking. She wanted me to use her mouth like her vagina and she wanted hard in her throat. I mean like she wanted it cutting off her air supply, gagging to the point of gasping for air and throwing up, while I would slap her in the face. Demanded I finish in her mouth or other two holes, but never outside because she didn't want it to go to waste. Haven't had one like that since. Bit my balls. Fucking Cosmopolitan magazine. She thought I'd like it. I didn't. She thought I was lying. I wasn't. She tried it several more times. It's difficult to stay hard when you're deflecting a thirsty ball biter. Shudder. My first GF gave me oral every chance she got. For instance, when we were just hanging out watching TV, even with her parents around, she would lay her head on a pillow on my lap, and sneak a sucky here and there. I kept an eye for her and nudge her if her parents are nearby, but sheesh. I'd if she just loved giving head or what. Granted this was back in 2004-ish, no smartphones yet, so the only thing bored people can play around with is each other, haha. I was 16 and this was behind the school when everyone had gone home. Me and a male friends and these two lasses were getting giddy etc and one thing led to another. So this lass is like come on then Chris, finger me. I was quite taken aback by her forwardness but had a moment with my buddy and he gave me a condom. So I took the condom and put it over 3 fingers and walked over and put my hands down her pants. At this time I thought the vagina was over the triangular pubic hair so was clearly missing by some margin. After a few seconds she made a harsh comment about my attempts, grabbed my hand, asked why I had a condom on and laughed at me, told me 3 fingers was too much. At that point she asked me to pull my cock out. I got scared and run off. I was the talk of school for like 2 days after that. I was a slow learner. When I was like 14, I heard if you put coke on your dick, it'll numb it and a girl will suck it all night long. Around that same time I had a FWB and we used to practice things on each other. I told her about the coke thing and she was like, I don't have any coke, but I do have some Pepsi. So I poured it on my junk and it just got really sticky. Lol. I told my 18-years-old brother what I did and he laughed his ass off. That was the day I learned what cocaine actually was. Happened around a year ago. First ever sexual experience with a girl. We were making out, she was on my lap, she takes off her bra. First ever time I saw boobs Earl, I didn't know what to do. I hugged her boobs. She then asked, you good? Me and my first partner used to have sex only in complete darkness, when all lights were out and the windows were locked. I haven't had a sexual partner since we broke up, but all my friends who up until now have had sex told me they had it with lights on. I was waiting until marriage and about 2 years into the relationship we decided that I'd give him a hand job since he was watching porn and I'd rather help him out myself since I had never watched it and felt weird at the time. We were in the car, and while we're making out I decide it's a good time. Instead of what I know now a hand job actually is, I rotated it in a circle kind of like a joystick. He didn't correct me and he finished in less than a minute. That motherfucker never corrected me after another 2 years of being together, but my next boyfriend literally laughed in my face the first time we hooked up. The first guy I had sex with had a massive penis. Like, the girth of a soda can and probably 10 inches long, not kidding. Sex was incredibly painful, I hated every second of it. I was so inexperienced though that I didn't realize that wasn't normal at all. I thought the issue was with me. I mentioned it to my doctor that sex was really painful and she did an exam, didn't find anything wrong and said it was either psychological or it would just take time for my vagina to adjust to sex. She didn't think to ask, Does your boyfriend have a giant monster dick? So after I stopped seeing him I didn't have sex for a long time because I was so scared of it. Then I dated a guy who had an average-sized penis, and I realized that not all penises were the size of my forearm and nothing was wrong with me. Yay for average penises. First girlfriend really liked playing rough. Like, really rough. Wanted to be punched while taking it in the ass rough. I couldn't keep up with that. Weirdly, the only thing that I found wasn't normal in new relationships was the degree. I find myself constantly in relationships with subs and masochists to some degree or another, though not quite as bad as wanting to get beaten during sex, as of yet. My first girlfriend wanted to be slapped hard in the face during sex and wanted bruises from spanking, got turned on by people seeing hickeys and bite marks on her body. I knew it wasn't normal, but as a noob to sexing, I just went with the flow. And was also terrified I'd go to prison for abuse. But she gave head like her life depended on it, so I had incentive to hang in there. I'm late to the party but I figured I'd give this a shot. This one is kinda gross, be warned. We were teens, I was a freshman, she was a junior, and we were on her couch. I was giving her that Slurpee Schlick mega combo, oral sex with finger stimulation, when my fingers caught onto something. I tell her there's something weird happening and she gets embarrassed but doesn't want to stop, so she holds my wrist so I don't stop fingering her. Well, I pull out anyway to find that hidden deep within the confines of her vaginal caverns was an underwear tag. You know, the piece of fabric/paper stitched into the back of the waistband of underwear? It was in there. Dyed red and brown. I shit you not, the tag looked like the red wedding. As if it had seen multiple cycles in the time spent within. And it had to have. Because when I asked which panties they belonged to, she said she threw out that pair months ago. This wasn't the first thing I found in her vagina. There was sand one time, she hadn't been to the beach in a few weeks. There was long strands of her scalp hair, etc., so I just chalked it up to it's normal for vaginas to kinda pick things up like a Dyson ball. But I was wrong. So very wrong. GF early in life insisted I let her suck my cock, every single day. Sometimes, multiple times a day. When I would tell her she didn't have to suck me off that day, or for the second or third time that day, she would look at me suspiciously. Eventually, I got sick of getting my dick sucked constantly, wish I had this problem now. As we pulled out of the KFC drive-thru one day and she started sucking away, I said, "Baby, you don't have to suck my dick every day." She looked up at me, wiped the spit off her face and said, "If I don't do it, some other girl will. Someone please build me a time machine." Had a boyfriend when I was younger who would always want to have sex anytime I cried. My anxiety was pretty high at that time and I was unmedicated, so anytime I'd panic he'd comfort me for about 2 seconds and then climb on top. Really fucked me up for a long time. Edit: wow, this blew up really fast. I'm at work right now so it's not easy for me to respond to all the comments, but I will try to. I'm honestly surprised by the number of comments saying they thought they were the only one to experience this. I thought the same thing. For anyone wondering how I'm doing now, I'm doing better. My current SO is amazing and has really helped me trust again. The first dude I had sex with I ended up dating for 7 years, so most of my sexual habits were built around him and his habits. He absolutely loved having his balls squeezed hard. Like, wrap my hand around the whole sack and squeeze as hard as I possibly could. He was so into it and we never really talked about it, so I just assumed it was something all dudes liked. The first time I had sex with my current partner, I tried to impress him with his sexy move and he very quickly informed me that it is in fact not something all dudes liked. Sorry, babe. Girl I lost my virginity to, also lost hers to me. Prior to the deed happening, she was very into her virginity and hanging onto it for the right guy. Once it finally happened, the gates of hell swung open and it was like free game for her. Cheating became normal, and I was in so deep and was just a stupid high school kid, I didn't get out earlier. Was always trying to save what we had and realized, far later than I'm willing to admit, we didn't have anything. Fucked my head up for a while and had horrible trust issues for years. Something in me thought cheating would be an extremely normal thing to run into. Ruined a lot of relationships that came afterward. But as an update, it's about 10 years later and I'm in a perfectly healthy relationship now with an amazing woman. Having enough. My first girlfriend would sometimes just say I had enough and we would stop. I just assumed this meant she had an orgasm. When I orgasm it wasn't lasting much longer. My next sexual partner never had enough. I stayed friends with my first girlfriend who came out years later, She told me that she wanted to be straight and would have sex and basically not enjoy it, hoping that one time she would start to enjoy herself. She loved me eating her out because she wouldn't look down and pretend I was a woman, and it explained why she didn't suck dick. My first long-term girlfriend was, simply put, a nympho freak. This was back in the 90s before internet porn was widespread, so it certainly wasn't media exposure. We dated for like 6 years starting in HS, and she did crazy porn star stuff to me or asked me to do it to her like every day. We were both latchkey kids, so we each had 3 to 4 hours of unsupervised time after school, and she lived like half-mile from our HS. After we broke up, it was kind of a letdown to go back to regular sex with normal girls.